Great, things are Langs. So, going through my computer files the other day, I just found this recording of a painting that I made around Christmas time 2015. And finding it, I was thinking that maybe I should make a video with some voiceover talking about just what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and a little bit of the thought process and pretty much everything that goes in my head, really. And I didn't record everything. I didn't record line art, and I didn't record some of the special effects later on. Um, but yeah, everything else is on the video. As you can see here, I'm just making lasso selections and establishing the flat colors, and I'm putting them each on a different layer because if I would want later on to make some changes in color or value, or um, maybe I might just need to select that certain area. It's going to make my life so much easier if I do that as opposed to just putting all the flats on one layer. When I work quickly, I tend to put all the flats on one layer. I know some artists make all sorts of different selections they save, or I don't know, channel layers and all that. I um I don't. So sometimes I go in with the brush when I make flats. I really like making flats for whatever reason. It's just I find it really relaxing, um, especially when I know what the design is going to be. When I'm designing something, it usually takes a bit longer to establish what colors I want to wear, and make sure that the colors work well with each other. So you can see the flats are done, and now I'm just making a little bit of a texture background, trying to sort of replicate the reference image, but not entirely, just kind of have similar hues and values, I guess. Now what you're seeing me do is duplicating the flats layer and setting it on multiply, and then just adding a layer mask and blocking in some forms. Um, it's easy to do things this way because that way you just have a darker color, a darker version of the same color that you use for the flats. I could have just used a multiply layer with and going in with gray or black brushes or something, or just a cool color or a warm color, but I just decided to do it this way, really. Now I'm using a color dodge layer to establish some lights, and I'm going in with a rather dark brush that's just set to gray, medium to dark gray, and I'm doing this because with color dodge it's really easy to have things just start to blow out really quickly, and you end up having very digitally looking things, or overexposed looking images. Now I'm just going, after I have my basic forms set in, basic shadows and lights, I just go on normal layers and start working on the skin. I try adding as much warmth to the skin as I can, because if you don't do that, it both either looks dead and or it looks uh, plasticky or muddy. So having saturated colors in the skin is a good way to go about it. And you might have seen that I went in with an overlay layer over the skin, and or a soft light layer actually, and I just made it a bit more orangey because initially I wanted her to be really pale, but I kind of thought later on that it wouldn't work as well. So I just made the skin tone a bit warmer. Um, When it comes to brushes, I use several packs that you can find on the resource part of the Level Up site. I'm using Derek's brushes and Jonas's brushes, and I think Danny Levise's brushes as well. When I say I'm using their brushes, I really mean that I'm using like several of them, not that many. Now you see me sort of adjusting the arm. It kept bugging me from the very beginning, but I kept postponing it, and finally I just decided it's time for it to be dealt with, and I went in, made all the corrections that needed to be made, and it looks much better. The arm was just too short and awkward, and it's something that I did see was happening, but didn't really address it. As you can see, I'm trying to twist those cylinders of the arms and forearms and make the forms read properly. Um, as you can probably tell, I'm not trying to follow the reference that closely, and I'm not working on likeness that much. Um, I don't know. I'm never really going that much for likeness unless I'm doing a photo study where, it's good practice to do it. Usually I'm just using reference loosely and trying to sort of make it look similar but not the same. What you're seeing me do here is literally just adding a reference of the dagger from Alice Madness Returns, and instead of using it as a photo texture because the size of the image was too small and it's all pixelated, I'm tracing the filigrees and the floral shapes and everything, and later on I'm just going to set the layer style on bevel and emboss and make it look engraved, because it's so much simpler to do it that way than going in and painting in by hand, lights and darks and everything, and making it look 3D. So here I'm doing the bevel and emboss, and as you can see it looks engraved, and it literally took 2 seconds to do. um, Working on the face some more. The face is really important, even though I don't stick that closely to the reference, just enough to sort of tell who the person in the image is. But I do work quite a bit on the face because I I really want it to read properly. When I'm doing character design, usually I leave the face for later for whatever reason. I just kind of establish in my head what I want the design to be and what I want the character to do or who I want them to be, and then working on a face later on. I know it's very different to what most people do, but it's just the way I kind of got used to doing things, really. I'm also using a smudge brush, and I'm using the smudge that Danny Lovisi uses, or at least he has a brush in his pack that it's a really good smudge brush, because um, I'm I don't really have much of a history with the smudge. I tend to avoid it. I used to use it just on a simple, normal, flat, uh, soft round brush. Actually, not a flat one. The soft round brush. But I would end up having these sort of very plasticky looking things, which I didn't like. So I just ended up finding this brush, and it gives a very sort of textury look to um, when you use the smudge, and I much prefer that to most smudge brushes that I tried. As I said, I'm not that big of a fan of smudge in general, but it it has its place. Now, this tattoo took me a whole lot to do. Initially, I wanted to use the reference image as a photo texture and not have to deal with it, but it didn't particularly work out right, and I ended up having to go in because I did stylize the character slash person a little bit, and because of that, the shape and size of the arms, arm and forearm, didn't really match. So I just went in and drew everything. I wasn't very comfortable with doing this. I'm doing it on a multiply layer, as you can see, and I'm doing that because I already have values established underneath on the skin layer, and I want the forms to read on the tattoos as well. And this just saves me the trouble of having to work that out later on. Initially, I started kind of stiff with it. I started doing line art and all that, but later on, I just kind of wing it a bit more and I do it a bit more looser. Ultimately, I'm not trying to replicate the tattoo perfectly. I just want to sort of be able to tell what the tattoo is and what it represents, um, and just be close enough to the original that you can tell what it is. Um, Ultimately, I kind of ended up enjoying doing it more than I thought I would. I'm not usually doing tattoos, or when I do, it's just simple tribal tattoos. Um, that I put on my characters. But I really enjoy doing this one. It is a really good looking tattoo, to be fair, and it was fun to do, and it just kind of showed, just added more depth to the character, I guess. Because otherwise it would have just been some normal Alice Madness Returns fan art, but this way, having a person um, involved in it, um, it just gives it a bit more depth, I guess. Um, yeah, it's what I'm doing right here is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going in with colors and trying to match the hues a bit better. Also, I made her tattoo a bit more contrasty than it is on the reference. I wanted it to pop. Um, you saw me drawing a little mouse face over there. I did struggle a little bit with the mouse. It didn't work out as I wanted it to initially. Um, I couldn't get the values right. The line art was okay, but when I added the colors, it just wouldn't look right. Over there, you see me adding a sleeve to the reference because it wasn't exactly sure where the tattoo would end, and where the sleeve would start, and trying to have it look a bit more legit. I just proportionally speaking, I just drew the sleeve real quick to use as a guideline. Yeah, so at this point, I'm not particularly happy with the mouse, as I kept saying. I do go back to it a little bit later on. I'm not sure if I filmed it or not, but um, overall it turned out alright. But initially, I just kind of didn't like the texture. Also, I skipped some parts. You saw me there apologizing for forgetting to press the record button actually, and I do that several times throughout the video, especially um, at at the end. Um, I just sort of forgot really, because sometimes I just get dragged into my pieces so much that I just forget to do them. So yeah, this is the final piece, and you can see all the extra bits and pieces that I put into it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you liked it. If you have any questions, just hit me up on Facebook or wherever. Um, and yeah, that's mostly it. See you.